So, hello and welcome along to another edition of Isolation Interviews for Hospital Radio Reading and for my YouTube channel. And I am super excited to be joined by one of the stars of Neighbours, the fantastic Ayisha Salem-Towner. Thank you for joining me. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Matthew.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. And to say there's so much to talk about. And I mean, you've been on the show now. I mean, you've been back, or you've been filming for a year and 3 months. Obviously, we'll talk in
Mhm.
a moment about how you got into Neighbours. But for you, where did the love of acting first come from? How did you kind of first know that that was where you wanted to take your career?
It would probably be, I mean, I would say maybe 3 years old because there was these films, The Wizard of Oz, was one of them, and I absolutely adored it. And I'd pretty much watch it every single day, and I'd always ask my parents to set it up, and I'd wear a little Dorothy dress and have a little basket, and I would act out the whole movie from top to bottom. I know every single line and do all the characters. And at that point, it was just a lot of fun for me. Like, I didn't know that acting was an actual job until I was probably maybe 6. And my parents were like talking to me about stage works. And I was like, you can get paid for this? What? It was just like so mind boggling to me and just so amazing. And yeah, ever since that moment, I've adored it so much and just been so passionate about it.
And
Yeah.
and have your parents been quite supportive of you over the years? I mean, that must be quite a big help as well.
Yeah, no, they're so supportive. Yeah, really have been incredible for, yeah, giving me everything I've needed. Yeah.
Now, obviously, Neighbours comes along. How did that happen for you? I mean, was that a call to your agent? Did you go and audition? How did that sort of come about for you?
Yeah, so it was through my agent, and I sent in a little self tape. And then I got a call back, which I came in and I met Ryan, and the producers and casting agent, and also little Tanner, who plays Hugo. And we did a few scenes. One of them was about Nell finding Sonia's old jumper in her room and kind of reminiscing about that, having a little moment with Ryan, which was really incredible and really sweet. And we also did a bit of improv with the little family with Tanner, me, and Ryan, and that was so much fun. Yeah, and then after that, my um, agent got the call and then told my dad. And it's actually kind of a funny story because I was at school, and I at that point I always caught public transport home. So my dad texted me and he was like, "I'm going to pick you up today." I was like, "Okay, that's a bit weird," but he didn't say anything else. And like my first thought was, "Oh, has something bad happened?" And so I get in the car and he's kind of playing into it as well. Like he has a dead straight face, and I'm really scared. I'm like, oh God, what has happened? So it's like someone died in the family. Um, and then he says in like the most monotone voice, he's like, "You got the role." I was like, what? I was just shocked. And my friend was actually driving past at the time, and she said she was going to roll down her window and say hi to me, but then she saw me looking really shocked and kept driving. So she texted me later. She's like, "Are you okay?" And obviously I couldn't tell anyone. I was like, "Yep, everything's fine."
I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's that's the great thing with Neighbours. I mean, for you, were you aware of Neighbours before joining? Had you ever watched it before, or were you coming in sort of completely new?
um I mean, I was aware of the show, but I had never watched any Neighbours before. I think most of my knowledge from it has come from my mum, who watched it when she was actually my age, and other people, like other parents or my friends, have like come in and told me little things about it, which is really sweet to know that they have such a connection to the show. But no, I had never watched it before.
And obviously taking on a role that had already been played previously, did you kind of go back and look at any sort of previous Nell scenes, or did you kind of want to keep a fresh mind and do it your way?
Well, I'd seen a little bit of who Nell was when she was little, but I think I did want to have a very fresh start to it because obviously Nell's a teenager now, and we all know that people have so many different phases as a teenager and just can change so much. That I kind of wanted to see Nell in my own way as, yeah, as that grown up now teenager living on Ramsey. Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, Nell has, become, well, to begin with, there was a bit of a rebellious phase where she was obviously not happy with her dad and his new relationship. That must be quite fun to play when you kind of get to be a bit evil, a bit naughty. Do you enjoy that?
I do know. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I love that side of Nell, and I think I'd want to see a bit more of that side because I think there's possibilities for it to maybe go even a bit more deeper, maybe a bit, yeah, really sort of that sort of cheeky glint in her eye, sort of. Because of course she's doing it for what she believes is the right reasons. um, and I love that sort of motivation for her to, yeah, try and get what she wants, but maybe in not the most best ways.
And I
Yeah.
mean, getting to work with some absolute icons. I mean, we talked about Ryan, of course, Rebekah Elmaloglou, who plays Therese, and then the likes of Alan Fletcher, Jackie Woodburn, these sorts of people. For you, that must it must be like an amazing acting masterclass, but also just, I mean, do you have to pinch yourself sometimes that you get to work with these icons and these legends?
I do, yeah. Yeah, I really do. I absolutely love working with Beck. She is so funny and just amazing on set, and I've learned so much from purely just observing her. Yeah, she's like a mum to me on set. It's really sweet. And of course, Jackie and Alan, and they're so fun to work with as well. And obviously, they know the show, yeah, inside and out, and just the way they like walk onto set and how they yeah, how they work with just everything around them and work through it. Like you can obviously see the experience there, and it's just I'm always like whoa when I watch them working on set because it's just like a whole different, yeah. They're amazing. I love working with them so much.
And what's the best bit of advice that you've been given by one of your fellow castmates? Because I imagine, you're always wanting to learn. So what's the best thing they've ever, advice they've ever given you?
Oh, what would be the best advice? Well, I mean, I remember right at the start, Ryan told me that the show moves very quickly. We film very quickly, and so there's not a lot of time. Like, we don't have any time for rehearsal at all. So usually you come on to set and you do your line run, you do a bit of blocking, maybe a camera rehearsal, and then you're filming. And so I think probably just like being as prepared as possible about like your piece before you go onto set. And yeah, kind of just make sure you don't hold onto the scenes too much afterwards as well, because you could be thinking about, oh, I could have done this maybe a little bit better, but like at that moment it was probably the best you could have done and in the time you had. And so I think not just like not holding on to those little thoughts of, oh, I wish I could have done it that way because we're moving so fast. And yeah.
And I mean, obviously, the great thing with Neighbours, like you say, it's a continuing drama. The stuff that you do is just continual. So, was this your first kind of big, or your first sort of role in a sort of a TV series where you get to do that sort of continuing drama element? Is it quite new to you still?
Yeah, it is. I mean, my past experience was in terms of like major productions would be La Brea. I was in it for season two a little bit. That was crazy. That was the first time I was ever on such a massive set, and I remember walking on, and there was like 25 trucks around, and they were massive, and I was like, oh my god, kind of thrown right into the deep end there. I remember just going to like weaving through this big maze and finding three different trucks, one for hair, one for makeup, one for costume, and that was insane. Yeah, otherwise, Neighbours has been the first, yeah, continuous production I've been involved in.
And did you,
Yeah.
and before joining, did you realize how big the show was around the world? Because I know that obviously in Australia it's not quite as popular as it is, say, here in the UK, and obviously I think it has sort of got more of a following now in America. Were you aware of that before joining?
No, I mean, I knew it had a following, of course. And again, I heard about it from parents of my friends. But no, I had no idea how big of a following it was until, yeah, I guess the episode started coming out. And then I think it was a bit of another moment like, am I dreaming? Like, pinch me. um, yeah, no, it's, I still have to pinch myself to be honest.
And I mean,
Crazy.
what's the reaction been like from fans around the world? And because I mean, obviously, you know, the great thing with social media is people can connect, you know, with you quite instantaneously.
Yeah.
So what's the kind of feedback been from people, you know, getting used to you as Nell?
Um, yeah, I mean, I try not to look too much into the comments, but I mean, from what I have gotten, it's been really positive and everyone's been so supportive, which is so lovely and just really heartwarming. I mean, of course, Nell being a recasted character, it does take the audience a little while to get used to that, which is so understandable. Um, yeah, but what I have gotten has been just incredible feedback and yeah, just really sweet. I think people are hopefully enjoying the character of Nell.
I
Yeah.
mean, the thing I'm loving is just we're getting a new depth with Nell. We're learning more about her. Obviously, up until you took on the role, she was very much kind of a character in the background who would, you know, pop up and you know, you sort of little words here and there. So it's been great to really get to see her become her own character. And I mean, your performance is fantastic. I must just say that. So yeah, you must be so honored to have been given that role and to be able to kind of progress with it. You must love just sort of taking her on the next chapter.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, having the opportunity to just really explore all the different layers that Nell can be, as you talked about. She's got a bit of a cheeky side, but she loves so fiercely with her family members, and little Hugo, I think, is a big part of Nell and the decisions she makes. I think she'll always make sure Hugo's safe and protected, will always stand up for him, and how she hangs out with her friends and JJ and Dex, and she's such a determined and strong willed girl. I mean, some of the things she does with standing up to adults and having those adult conversations, I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh my God, I would have a hard time doing that. Like, whoa. Yeah, she's such an inspiring girl, and also exploring her love for drawing now and the arts. Yeah, and even now I'm still finding out and developing new things about Nell and seeing, I guess, where she can be explored and where she can be taken in all these, yeah, different ways and little, yeah, searching all the little corners of what Nell can be. Yeah.
And I mean, the other thing as well at the moment is we're seeing the kind of the love triangle between obviously JJ, Nell, and Dex. And obviously we know that Nell is more connected to JJ. I think they've got more in common. But who do you think Nell is better? I mean, I know that's probably the hardest question to answer, but do you have a kind of a preference as to who Nell ends up with?
Do I have a preference? Oh my goodness. Well, I think JJ and Nell have such a strong connection. Like they found, I think, a lot of safety in each other. Like Nell doesn't see JJ as the kid who almost went to juvie, and JJ doesn't see Nell as the girl who's lost her mum and has a really complex family. And so I think they can really just be themselves around each other. And I think that's just such a beautiful connection for the two. Um, and yeah, they have a lot of fun together. And I think having that sort of person for the two of them is just so important because I mean, throughout the last year of filming Nell, she's kind of hasn't really had anyone to confide in. I mean, she's had people, but all those people have always been involved in those issues. And so she's been very alone and having to kind of be the big sister and step up and also try and understand her dad and work through his problems. And so I think finally having that person for Nell in JJ is just someone she can shake it all off with and just completely forget. And I think it's really important for the two of them. Yeah. So, and of course, we know that Nell has had a crush on JJ. um, yeah. So I think she'd be more inclined to JJ, although he did break her heart. So who knows?
But some could say that that is also a sweet thing, that he did it purely for his brother. And he was, because I thought it was really lovely the way that, we've seen he's pretty much put his feelings on hold for the sake of his brother, which I think is fantastic. And obviously, it's not going to work if Nell doesn't like Dex back. But I just thought that was quite a nice thing to see that, that brotherly love. And you must love working with both of them.
Yes. No, yeah, it was really, really sweet. I mean, Ayisha and myself, I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Like, poor all three of them. I feel so much for those three. But I guess looking back at Nell, I think Nell would have wanted maybe JJ to maybe do it in a different way and explain things a little bit better. But yeah, working with Marley and Riley is so fun. I love those guys so much. Um, yeah, I mean, they're the only other sort of teens on set. And yeah, we have a ball. It's so fun seeing them and just hanging out. And yeah, I have a really nice connection with the both of them.
And it must be nice as well because you all join the show at the same time. So you've got that kind of that bond where you've come into this show at the same time. You can kind of get used to it as a group, I suppose. And we've seen recently you got to go and do some fun filming at Luna Park, which I don't know if that's a real park, but it looked like a lot of fun you had.
Yeah, yeah, it's really nice just coming in as completely fresh characters and kind of exploring this journey of what Neighbours is together and being introduced to all these new things and experiencing it all fresh and yeah, having each other for that is it's really nice and having that support is so important, I think. And yes, Luna Park is a real park in Melbourne. That was really fun filming that day. It took a while to film actually, though. It was a very long day, and I remember they were testing the roller coaster as we were filming, and every time the roller coaster came past, we'd have to stop because it was so loud and you couldn't hear what we were saying, so we had to retake so many times, which was a bit funny. I mean, I think at one point we were a bit fed up with it, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Now, if you were given the freedom to pick a storyline for Nell to go through, what would you love to see happen for Nell going forward? What would you love her to be involved with or to have happen to her?
Oh, oh my goodness. What I love now to explore. I mean, I think I'd love for Nell to explore that sort of independent side to her and a bit maybe separate from the family because she's always, I think, sacrificing maybe small bits of herself for her family, which is really beautiful, but she does dedicate herself to her fam. And I think just maybe exploring that sort of, yeah, determined and strong minded side of her would be a lot of fun, and where she can maybe take that and what she can do with that would be really fun. And oh, storyline wise, oh my goodness. I mean, I would love to work with Magella Davis because on set, I mean, I don't think I've had any scenes with her, but she's probably one of the people I'm most connected to on Neighbours. She's like a big sister to me. We get along really, really well and such a beautiful connection. So I would really love to do something with her. And I think she's also Krista's such a strong and determined character as well. And I think those two together could, yeah, really do get a lot of fun things done and have that sort of like power dynamic. Yeah, I'd love something like that.
And I mean, someone else we must talk about who, we talked about Rebekah, obviously Lucinda Cowden, who's kind of like Nell's second mum or third mum or, however many mums. What's it like to work with her? Because I mean, I've spoken to her before and she's just a hoot. She's fantastic. But you must love getting to work with her.
Oh yeah, she is so so fun. Yeah, again, another one of Nell's mums, and like a mum to me on set. To be honest, she's been so so supportive, and we're kind of like the Melanie duo, the cheeky little duo on set. We're always making funny voices and having a lot of fun, strolling around the corridors together, and yeah, she's again, I've learned so much from her, and just having her as someone I can confide in, and yeah, she's so fun for sure.
Now, one of the things we have to talk about, and obviously we're not going to do any spoilers or anything like that, but we know that Ryan Moloney is leaving. He's going to, be directing behind the scenes. Obviously, we can't talk about how he's leaving, and we don't want to spoil it for anyone. But for yourself, was that weird having him no longer on screen? And obviously, without giving anything away, will that impact your character too much? Obviously, be careful what you say, but
Yeah. Um, Goodness. Yeah. Tiptoeing around the lines. Yeah. It will impact Nell. I think I can say that. Um, as I mentioned before, family is such a strong thing for her. And um, however, she has, again, she always does what she believes is right. But for now, yeah, that can also, she can also do that by, I think, giving away or just like things that she wants. Um, and oh, I don't know where I can go with this without giving away any spoilers.
no,
But
that's right. I say don't
yeah,
if you can't finish it without giving spoilers, don't worry. But great tiptoeing. Obviously, people are going to miss him on set, but you must love the fact that he's still going to be on the show if it's behind the scenes, so you still get to see him. So that must be great.
yeah, no, that's really, really good. Yeah, I'm really excited for him to be honest. Just, I mean, he has like such, I guess, a director's sort of brain. Like just workshopping scenes of him is so much fun and incredible, and just the things he brings to the table and suggestions, and just really trying to like hash out different lines and what the journey throughout the scene, I guess, can be with him, and the scenes we do have together is always just so fun and so interesting. And so I think he's going to do a really good job, and I'm really excited.
We can't wait to see some of his episodes when they, eventually come out. Now we are nearing the end of the interview, but one of the questions I do like to ask people, and I think it's a good question, is if you were to meet Nell in real life, would you be friends? Do you think you could be friends? Do you think you'd get on?
Ooh, that is a great question. Hmm. Um, I think, I mean, Nell's interests are a little bit different to mine. I mean, loving manga is very, very holy Nell. But I mean, people who can draw and do create art like that, I'm so impressed by, and it's incredible. I do, I think they would be friends. I mean, Nell, I get the vibe that in Nell's free time, she spends it quite quiet and reading and yeah, drawing and maybe taking care of her little plants that she's taking after Sonia. And I'm a very avid reader. I absolutely love books. So I think we could probably connect over that. Um, yeah, and I mean, as I said, I admire her for being able to stand up for what she believes in. And I think that's such a strong and important quality for someone to have. Um, yeah, I reckon they'd have a bit of fun. And she'd also have so much gossip to tell about Ramsey Street,
Of
and
course.
I would love to hear a little bit of that. So I would love to be friends with them.
And I mean, of course, we know that Nell is an amazing drawer. Are you any good at drawing? Is that a talent you have, or?
um, I mean, I like to draw. Whether I'm any good at it is a great question. Um, but yeah, I mean, I love to just do little drawings here and there, and I mean, just as like free time, having fun. Yeah, it's really just something to have fun with, I guess, for me. Yeah, I definitely can't draw like Nell can, but yeah.
Now, I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you for giving up your time for me. Of course, people need to keep watching Neighbours. Here in the UK, they can watch it. It's Amazon Freevee, Monday to Thursday. It drops at 7 a.m. So people need to keep watching. It's going to get so good. Yeah, just thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we will definitely get you back on.
Thank you. Yes. No, that was so, so nice. Yeah, thank you for having me.